Tonight, Robin Gill.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. They are stressed, desperate, and still stuck in China tonight. Canadians hoping to leave the epicenter of the new coronavirus outbreak are delayed another day. But there is a silver lining. Late today, the Foreign Affairs Minister confirmed a U.S. option.
We had an offer by the U.S. State Department, who's going to have a plane which will be departing shortly after our own plane to put a number of Canadians on board.
Ottawa is also working to help hundreds of Canadians stranded on a cruise ship off the coast of Japan, quarantined after confirmed cases on board. The World Health Organization says the numbers have surged globally. In the past 24 hours, we saw the most reported cases in a single day. The organization is requesting $675 million in aid to help fight the spread. And today, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation answered the call, donating up to $100 million to vaccine research and treatment efforts. The federal government is encouraging all Canadians who do not need to be in China to leave while they still can. So far, 373 Canadians in Wuhan have asked for help. In our top story tonight, Abigail Bimman reports on what it's going to take to get them home.
A city of 11 million people, desolate for days. Video sent to Global News by Miriam LaRouche, one of 211 Canadians who was supposed to be out by now.
I got the email an hour before leaving for the airport.
This email from Global Affairs Canada telling her the evacuation flight was delayed.
There is a narrow window given by the Chinese for flights into Wuhan. And the weather conditions were such that the plane couldn't take off, so everything's delayed by a day.
Ottawa says crosswinds were the problem on the way to Vietnam.
It's a stressful situation because we don't know what's going to happen and when is it going to happen.
The latest numbers show 373 Canadians want help getting out. 211 are on the manifest. Wednesday afternoon, the U.S. State Department called Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister with a friendly offer.
We now have secured a few seats on the flights organized by the United States authorities. Individuals who are eligible for travel on these flights are being contacted as we speak.
François-Philippe Champagne will only say a few dozen seats are up for grabs, and Canada may still send a second plane for the rest. Meanwhile, Global Affairs has updated its travel advisory for China, still warning against any non-essential travel, but there's a new suggestion for Canadians already there.
If you don't have to be, to come home now while commercial flights are available.
When the Canadian flight and the U.S. flight with Canadians aboard eventually land, everyone will be taken to an Ontario military base for 14 days of quarantine.
Actually, I feel better since they said that we are going to be like quarantine, because now I'm going to be sure, like 100% sure that like I'm fine, I'm okay, and I won't put my family and my friend at risk.
And there's a new recommendation from Canada's Chief Public Health Officer. Dr. Theresa Tam is advising anyone who returned from Hubei province in the last 2 weeks to limit contact with others, what the U.S. is calling self-isolation, although she stresses the risk remains low. Robin?
Abigail Bimman in Ottawa. Wuhan is pretty much a ghost town because of the quarantine and fears over how quickly the virus is spreading. There are now more than 28,000 confirmed cases of the new coronavirus worldwide. 25 countries are affected, including Belgium for the first time, and at least 565 people are dead. More than 5,500 people are stranded on 2 quarantined cruise ships near Japan and Hong Kong. The World Dream is docked at Hong Kong's Kai Tak cruise terminal with 1,800 people on board. And the Diamond Princess is anchored off the coast of Yokohama near Tokyo with more than 3,700 people on board, including 251 Canadians. Now, 10 more people who have tested positive are coming off that ship and being taken to hospital. Redmond Shannon shows us how it all began.
9 passengers and 1 crew member taken off the Diamond Princess and in to quarantine. The 10, none of whom are Canadian, tested positive for new coronavirus. Japan's health minister says the other 3,500 people will stay on board for 2 weeks. Others on board could yet test positive too.
We remain confined to our cabins. We can't even open the door and walk down the corridor.
David Abel has been passing the time chatting to the world's media.
The only interaction that we're actually getting is when we go out onto the balcony and talk to other passengers equally as bored, and it's nice to talk to them.
In the meantime, there is little Ottawa can do for the 251 Canadians on board.
We will look at the cruise line in this case to repatriate those Canadians when the quarantine, which has been decided by local health authority, is finished.
A similar situation in Hong Kong, where 30 passengers on this ship have a fever. All 1,800 are being tested.
At the time being, I think we cannot conclude the likely time of finishing the quarantine measures right now.
In a sector that sometimes has to deal with virus outbreaks, one travel expert says communication is key.
It's really providing your customers with the facts of, this is what we're doing, this is what we have as a precaution. If you do have to take a drastic measure, informing your customer about what you're doing. People want to be aware, they want to be informed.
Something people on this ship may appreciate. It's been denied permission to dock in the Philippines, but has no confirmed cases. One Canadian passenger tweeted, "Not sure how or when, but it will be good to get home." The operator told Global News it will be 10 days before the ship can dock. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.